Hello, folks, and welcome back to Striking Ground. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Steve G, if you didn't know. Now, let's dive right into it. We'll start with the first fight of the main card. It was Gene Lord Silva versus Arnold Allen. I put Arnold Allen in a couple of my parlays, which I fell short of. I felt that he brought the fight to him. It was a good fight. Lord Gene Silva was too much for him. He's deceptively strong, especially in the clinch. In my opinion, Arnold Allen just didn't implement too much of a mix-up of a game plan early enough in the fight. I thought he could have edged out the first round. The second round was for Silva, and he stayed in his face. John Silva, he hits harder, man. I think he's got more power. Arnold Allen landed that good knee at the end of the second round, or I believe it was in the middle of the second round, won the first round, stayed in the fight. Maybe should have shot for a takedown sooner. Gene Silva didn't turn on until the end of the first round. He implemented some good inside leg kicks, stuffed the takedown in the third, which was really good, and landed some takedowns on his own as well. So that's what I mean about him being strong. He was pretty much manhandling Allen. And Allen is a good fighter. It was closer than I think because Gene Silva has a lot of the crowd behind him, so that could sway the judges that are fairly casuals, you know what I mean? They're ooh and ahhing for a lot of stuff like the end of the first round. That crazy flurry and jumping knee and all that, it didn't really connect that well. But overall, it was a good fight. Hopefully nobody got really injured, which it would look like from the face of it that Arnold Allen perhaps took the more damage visually or whatever, but it was a good bout. Now off it to the next one. We're going to go to Natalia Silva and Rose. Now I had Silvia in a couple of my parlays where I put her for the over. Now I was worried about this fight. I was going to take Silva. I just wasn't sure whether or not Rose was going to be able to defeat the odds and win as a dog, considering Rose has beat many good strikers, the likes of Wang Zhe Li and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. She's a very good striker that has good footwork. She's very creative, uses a lot of angles, very tricky, believes in herself, manifests that she's the best and stuff like that. So, but Silva, though, she stuffed majority of the takedowns that Rose was looking to get. Her hands, Rose's hands looked particularly fast in the beginning of the second and the third round. I thought that Rose put her into a sluggish state where she didn't have to get on her back foot as much, which kind of like aided her in. And if you look, I don't know if it was the second round or third, but I believe it was the second round with about 42 seconds into it. There was a very good boxing exchange I liked where Natalia Silva, she threw a lazy jab leaning forward to bait Rose in. And Rose in countered with a cross that Natalia Silva was able to elude, just backing up and then throwing a check left hook, which then in turn Rose was able to avoid as well. It was a very good boxing exchange. You can go ahead and rewind it and check that out. But when Rose did get Natalia Silva on her back, she looked miserable. I'd like to see how she favors against somebody that just has decent wrestling, doesn't even have to be a seasoned wrestler. I believe they'll be able to give Natalia Silva a lot of problems, but overall, I think it was a good performance by her. You have to remember how much endurance this female has, considering she's stuffing all of these takedowns and she's throwing all of these kicks. Kicks exert a lot more energy than punches do, being that your legs are a lot more heavier, and especially if you're throwing a high kick, your leg has to come from a farther more distance versus a punch. So throwing all those leg kicks and running around like that, and having that much volume with that much speed and tenacity on it, she's got very good endurance, which in my opinion translates to cardio and recovery time if she was to get dazed. I feel that if she was to practice a lot more wrestling, grappling, and takedown, she could become more of a better all-around fighter. Rose also brought the fight to her, so it was a good fight for Rose. I thought it was pretty close. So we'll go to the next match. We got Acosta versus Lewis. Now, Lewis, in my opinion, had a very good game plan. It was a verbal one. Not all the time the fights start inside of the octagon or ring. It starts at the press conference before it. And Derek Lewis went on a limb, being funny as he usually is. I love the Black Beast. And he made a disrespectful comment to Acosta in Spanish and said, F your mother or something of that sort. And I believe it got a reaction out of Acosta. It got a reaction because the next day during the face-offs, he looked particularly more aggressive than he usually does during the face-off. But during the fight, I think despite the disrespectful onslaught that he received, he appeared to be fairly composed. He had really good jab, really good leg kicks. Very few leg kicks, but they add up in, that heavyweight division. It was a good game plan, like I'd like to rewind, from Derek Lewis to use that disrespectful slur because it increased his chance of Acosta getting inside of boxing range with him, perhaps getting upset and wanting to just go for it. Unfortunately, it didn't work for the Black Beast. He took a loss. It looked like he might have gave up. Perhaps he's there for the check, regardless of whatever. I'm always a fan favorite of the Beast. He's funny and he knocks people out. Speaking of jabs, I don't think Lewis throws enough, and I think he should, because whenever I see him use a jab, he's more like using it for range to see how far he is to land that big right or probe. I think if he used his jab more, especially because he's very boxing based, he'd be able to have a lot more success. Good luck to Derek Lewis on his next fight, and congratulations to both men, Acosta as well, for the W. Now let's go on to the next fight with Sugar Show and Song Yadong. Well, that was a closer fight than I thought it was going to be. It's considering Song Yadong didn't implement a game plan that, in my opinion, would have been more effective. He did try to take him down. It's just that O'Malley, if you notice, he's so elusive with his footwork. It seems like he's been putting together game plans on how to just completely avoid getting taken down at all costs, trying to remain in the middle of the octagon as much as he can. When he throws those feints and jabs and moves left and right, it kind of slows the fight down where you got to get your feet set again, and before you know it, if you're the smarter fighter and you're able to counter and get something good in between the round, a minute and some change has already went by, and that's how you cruise through with victories. One thing I can say is that Song Yadong did implement leg kicks majority earlier in the fight, which did seem to have some effect on O'Malley. You could tell by how he was switching stances. Song Yadong, I believe, was waiting too much on the outside. And when he was waiting on the outside to counter, he's very fast, very strong. It's just that your counter game plan is against a person who's a lot taller than you, practices striking and boxing a lot, where that's what he does. So I think that Song should have closed the distance more, in my opinion, as much as he can. He was going to have to make it a dogfight. He's already got a chin. I believe the more he rushed him, he had more success. What was that earlier, the first round when he took him down? He didn't have enough time. It wasn't able to implement as much damage with the ground and pound, but you couldn't really tell. He hit him in his body. Who knows? Right now, Sean O'Malley probably got a bruised, broke rib. But it was a good execution as far as game plan for O'Malley, is keeping him on the outside, countering himself, dictating the fight, keeping the fight where he wanted, where he was more comfortable. So I did not bet on that match, or did I bet the over on that one? Let's go to the main event. Oh my God, I've been waiting for this. Paddy the Baddy. Underestimated him. Although I was right that Gaethje was gonna win, I got a bit greedy and went for the stoppage by the third round by Gaethje, so I lost that 4 pick. Paddy Pimblett has one of the best chins in the sport. He has great heart. He was super confident. His cardio was very good as well. Now, I'm going to point something out to you guys about his game plan. Now, he came out throwing leg kicks at Justin Gaethje. I wasn't sure of whether or not he was doing that to pull the leg kick out of Justin Gaethje. So with that being said about Gaethje's game plan, I'm not sure if he even had a game plan besides going there and killing him, because he wasn't throwing enough jabs. But when Paddy the Baddy kicked him and he didn't return a kick like an angry person would do, especially a person that loves kicks, maybe think you do have a game plan or you're just zeroed in on damaging him. I felt that Paddy had a very good offensive game plan. I'm not going to take away from you, Paddy, if you felt that you were going to be able to draw him in. After you were to leg kick him, he was going to return one, and then you were going to go for a single, take him down, and do what you do best earlier in the fight when you're dry and he has a least chance of being able to slip out, and you be able to hold him better at your strongest. So I'm not sure, but here's another thing. Paddy, you see, came in at 154, where he could have came in at 155, championship weight. Now, Paddy still recovered very well. It surprised me that after the first round, where he took those few shots on the ground right before the bell rung, that was the most dazed I seen him out of the fight. And then after that, he seemed to keep coming on. And tell me if you didn't think that after the third round, Paddy was going to win. I seen the momentum just swing. I saw a kid that was destined to do something, that was hungry. I seen a monster. I seen a kid that believed in himself, believed in his striking, believed in his chin, felt he took all the power Gaethje had and that it was just downhill from there. He did implement them lower leg kicks that ultimately take away the spring from a lot of Gaethje's punches. Well, it would have been the jab, but Gaethje didn't use the jab, did he? A little bit, but not enough. And not enough of the leg kicks until late, until perhaps he seen Paddy was ready to just stay there standing up. And it happened right after Paddy started having success in that third round. So maybe Gaethje thought, oh, okay, he'll for sure stay standing now. Let me go ahead and give him a few. And when he did, oh, it helped. And I can't say, because who knows, like I said, if Paddy would have jumped for a single. But in my opinion, if he would have went for the lower leg kicks earlier in the fight, Gaethje would have took him out by the third. But ultimately, I want to give a huge shout out to the UFC, Justin Gaethje, Paddy Pimblett, for having so much heart, so much desire to win, not knowing what losing is in the UFC, believing in himself, having a granite chin, very good stand-up game plan. It just fell short. I felt he underestimated Gaethje. Baddy was saying that, oh man, you seen the way he did against Chandler, and you see how I did Chandler? Can you imagine? I'm gonna do him the same way. Well, styles make fights. So there you go. I like the comment by Dustin. He said, there goes one for the OGs right there, one for the legends. But Paddy the Baddy has a bright future ahead of himself. I'm hoping that damage that he sustained from Justin Gaethje didn't take too much off of his life. I wanted to thank all of my supporters, close family and friends that have subscribed with me. I just appreciate you all. So if you could please engage in the comment section with me about anything you wish to speak about. I love to engage and so forth. And thank you very much. Once again, God bless you. And thank God nobody got really hurt.